Who's that butt?
I want an aqua butt.
Aqua butt. More aqua butt.
I need to start
So,
a petition
are we ready to go?
online.
Just an aqua tease.
That's what I said. I said that online.
Are we ready to go? Because I'm leaving the aqua butt chant in for sure. All right, so fuck yes, welcome to After the Hype. Me, the host is Ryan Jessel. With me, as always, is not Jonathan Hardesty, but Chewie Darso.
Hi.
And Emily Blake.
Hi.
John is moving today.
I don't laugh when John's not here.
Yeah, I know.
He's moving on.
Yeah. He's moving from one horrible sun-soaked area of the valley to a different, more
He's not
horrible
in the
sun.
valley.
He's in a valley.
He's in a valley.
He's not in the
He's in
valley.
Santa
Sure.
Clarita. Is that its own valley?
And now he's going north of Santa Clarita to Moore Valley.
I didn't
He's
know that.
going north?
Yeah.
To Palm.
It's going to take him like
Whatever.
8 hours to get to work every day.
And to here.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's
He's going to
crazy.
show up real energetic.
Fuck that noise.
And sunburned, because I just imagine that's how everybody is out there.
They don't have roofs.
Yeah, we're just going to keep making
The
fun of
funny
John.
thing is, it's so
That's what you get for
hot
not showing
there.
up, fucker.
Yet during the winter,
Defend
it's the
yourself.
only area that actually freezes. Like they'll have like frost in the mornings
No.
up there.
It's because there's a fucking desert.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Special guest today, we haven't had him on in a while, is Graham Mason.
Hello.
He brought his
I'm
beard.
here.
He did. I think the
we
last time
took
you
the
were
beard,
on
yeah.
is when we just spent like 30 seconds rubbing beards into the microphone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we did that. That's
I don't
great.
remember what that was for, but I remember
To make
the
people
act.
uncomfortable.
No, I meant what movie, not why we were rubbing beards into microphones.
Because it was sensual.
It was
That's why.
Oh yeah,
This
just
is a sensual podcast.
It's very sensual.
I'm sure that's a sound that can
Hello.
give somebody one of those head
Welcome to the
orgasms.
Beard Cast.
Yeah, there's somebody out there who's really turned on right now.
Somebody just got into a car accident. Oh, beards!
Not even seeing beards,
Like
just
a
hearing
boss.
beards.
I can hear them.
Look out for that cat in the road.
Graham, do you have anything you'd like to plug?
No, not really. Not doing
Cool.
anything pluggable.
Nothing pluggable?
No.
Well, okay then.
I feel like I need to turn that into a sex joke somehow.
Nothing pluggable?
Nothing pluggable here.
Nothing pluggable about me.
Well, he's newly married. There's
Yeah.
got to be like a way we can connect newly married, not pluggable, beard.
Yeah. It's a beard.
We'll think about it later.
I'm married. You can't plug this beard. Yeah.
Does
that work?
This beard is plugged.
Yeah, I don't think any of those worked very well. As everyone in their car is going, nope. All right, so we'll move on to a Where Have You Been Doing? There's two that I have because if I don't say both, I'm not who I am. So I'll start with the first one, which is I watched the documentary on Hulu, Too Funny to Fail. And if you haven't watched that yet, it is the story of the very short-lived Dana Carvey show that came out right after he left SNL. And it was one of the most ill-advised shows in TV history. Just they might try to make a primetime R-rated sketch comedy show on network TV. It was the worst idea, but it was so goddamn funny. And it gave us like Steve Carell and Stephen Colbert and sadly Louis C.K. and like all these people who are now the who's who of comedy started at this one show. And it's just amazing watching them talk about it and how it all came to be. And it's a very funny documentary. And the skits are hilarious, but had no place on TV. Especially their first sketch, which if you don't know what it is, I don't want to spoil it for you. But the first sketch out of the gate, it was like, oh, we're canceled. That was the wrong choice, and it's hilarious. Like it is, everything about it is just fantastic, and you should definitely watch it. It's on Hulu. But the major thing I have to talk about is that, of course, I saw Justice League.
Of course.
Justice League.
And it was awesome, and I don't give a shit what people are saying. It was fucking awesome. Like, it's not the greatest movie ever made, sure. And people are going to hate me for this. I think I probably like BVS more, just because it told more of a story. Now, it told us, whether or not you like the story, it still told more of a story, whereas Justice League is really just, these guys are going to team up and fight a bad guy. And it's awesome, but
It was more like Marvel.
yeah, it was more Marvel pace. So a lot of Marvel people are like, oh, it's not as bad as everyone else, but it's still not
It's
great.
got more jokes.
It does, but they're very DC jokes, which I
Got more
appreciate.
Wonder Woman.
Yes.
It definitely has more Wonder Woman than Marvel.
Yeah.
No, I was
that
annoyed
makes
that
sense.
they constantly put Wonder Woman in extremely deep V-cut shirts. And I'm like, come on, guys.
Yeah, the costume design, as far as like their civilian attire, was not as on point as some of the other DC movies.
It's like, you don't need to see her boobs to understand that she is a woman.
She's the lady.
Yeah.
Ladies
Oh, that's
have
Wonder
boobs.
Woman. I know that
I
because
was
of her
confused.
breasts.
I thought Wonder Woman was a man, but that mans don't have boobs. Mans?
Wonder, whoa, man.
So
no, it's
I
not.
hope in the next movies they bring back the female
Just let women
Costume,
direct. Actually, can we just, given how much sexual harassment is everywhere, can
Yikes.
we just let women do all the things now?
I mean, it would make sense because if you give them back to men, they're just be like, "Yeah, we have power again." Ha ha ha! Oh God, no!
Wait, what happened? Why is everything
Yeah.
more terrible?
It just keeps getting worse. I don't understand
Hey,
why.
hey, we're not talking about the government right now. Okay.
That's where I was.
It's also
going.
Hollywood.
Yeah.
It's also Hollywood and everything else. But you know, I'm done. Now someone else can go.
Well, since we already talked about the Justice League, that did not give us Aqua Butt. I'll just say that again.
It's
It
a
was
shame.
Aqua
That's a
Tease.
shame.
We also saw 3 billboards in outside of Ebbing, Missouri.
Yes.
Is the full title.
That
I
is the
believe.
correct full title.
And it is a movie that is fantastic, and a lot of people won't see because it does have some light moments. As usual, like with In Bruges from the director, they advertise it as a comedy. It's not.
They have so much trouble figuring out how to market Martin Madonna movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a comedy.
It's brutal. You feel for pretty much every one of the characters, even the shitty one played by Sam Rockwell, because he's like one of those examples of you kind of are a product of your upbringing because clearly your mom sucks.
Oh my God, the woman who plays his mom was so fucking good.
It's the mom that plays Mac's mom
on
in
It's
Always Sunny.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
But
She's
not,
incredible in this. Like
She actually has dialogue.
beyond meh.
But so it's like you hate him, and then you're like, oh, I feel actually bad for you, and then I also feel bad for you, and then I feel bad for everybody in this movie. And other people will probably complain that there's no real resolution, but that honestly makes it more honest. And it's just a really good movie that no one probably really wants to watch right now because everyone wants escapism, and this is more so just real.
Oh, it's harsh, and like it was more harsh than I thought it was going to be, which is saying something because I knew whose movie I was about to watch. But it punched a little harder than I thought it would.
It is refreshing to see Peter Dinklage play something other than Tyrion. Because I'm just so used to seeing him in Game of Thrones all the time now. It takes up so much of his time that it was fun watching him be somebody else and actually have different facial expressions. So that was refreshing. And yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed it. I highly recommend it. But if you're not feeling great, this movie's not going to help you. So.
Yeah, it would not be a great movie to watch on the day that we're recording when the tax bill went through. But, you know, some other day it will be.
Yeah, when you're feeling really good, you're on a really pleasant date, and you just want to see
You just want to
how
bring
the
that
mood
down.
could secure itself. I don't know.
I'm feeling really good today. I need to knock myself down a peg or two.
Oh, that's that.
Next.
I watched a Korean film called Assassination, and it was really, really good. And it was basically it's during the Japanese was it occupation or just sort of the Japanese were controlling Korea, and
They occupied it. Same with
yeah.
China.
Okay, so but like there's just this group that decides they're going to assassinate this evil Korean. I think he was a general. And so it's like it's kind of structured a bit like a heist movie. So they have like the mission. They're gonna like ambush this car and blow it up and do all these other things. But things go wrong because then somebody discovers their long lost twin sister is there, and it doesn't sound. It actually is awesome. I know that sounded silly, but it's and what's cool is like there is just this super badass chick who is an expert marksman and just fucking awesome. And she's if there is a main character, she's probably it. And then, like what I love at one point is the guy who's got this group together goes, okay, so she's gonna be your leader, and one of the other dudes goes, well, how come she gets to be the leader? And then the guy who put the group together just goes, can you tell him what happened to your former superior officer? And she goes, oh yeah, I shot him. And the other guy just goes, okay, hello, Captain. You know, and this like it was really because she was just so badass, and that was that's probably why my friend recommended the movie to me, but yeah, I quite enjoyed it. I love it's not a heist movie, but it kind of feels like one at times, and I love a good heist movie. It's kind of like, it is definitely a 3-act movie. It's like, put the band together, put the team together, and then part 2 is, let's try to carry out our mission. Mission fails. And then part 3 is like, okay, mission changes, new mission. And then part 3 gets a lot more personal and a lot more like intense, and it's just, and it's also just so actiony. Just fucking guns everywhere, explosions, super cool.
As it should be.
Yeah.
Assassinations. That's called?
Assassination.
Cool. Oh, just one.
Just the word
Just a
assassination.
singular assassination.
Yes. Because they're
So
only trying
only-
to kill one guy.
So only one person dies in the whole movie.
The other are just
a
severely
fuck ton of
maimed.
people die in this movie.
Well, I feel like it's mistitled then. Graham, what about you?
Well, as it is currently holiday season, I've been doing my usual tradition of watching as many James Bonds as I can.
Nice.
So now I've just this year decided to make my own like series of marathons for myself. So I did the Gold series. So I did Goldfinger, and then Man with the Golden Gun, and Goldeneye.
Goldeneye's the best.
Which, yeah, I mean, Goldeneye is our...
Goldeneye's better than Goldfinger? You both just said out loud?
Yes.
Well-
that is correct.
Goldeneye is our generation's James Bond.
GoldenEye
Sure.
has less rapey moments in it.
Well, yeah. It doesn't have Sean Connery. And actually, it does
Goldeneye
have...
has a lot of quotable
Act-
lines.
Yeah, and Goldeneye has some...
Goldfinger has
female-
more.
No. Also, Goldeneye's a
Females
cool
on.
video game that I think of every time I watch Goldeneye, like how hard this level was.
You know what? I'll say it. That game sucked. Yep. It was great at the time. It did not age.
How
It
dare
was
you.
great at the time. It
Sure.
did not age well. It sucks now.
No.
Well, yeah, duh.
It sure does.
No, not duh.
Yep.
Incorrect.
It totally does.
I have no.
Did you play the
nothing in this.
2010
I
Goldeneye?
did. It was,
Yeah, it was nah.
Okay. I totally forgot about it. Totally went past me.
When they're like, yeah, Daniel Craig was in GoldenEye. Move this thing out. Yeah, we're just going to redo him. Instead of random black-haired polygon thing, you have Daniel Craig.
Just
What?
square fists all the time. Ah, slappers only.
I always played as Mayday because when you shoot her, she goes. It's like that's this weird, crazy noise that she makes. I fucking love it.
Just a little yelp.
I played as Jaws because I had a will to die.
Played as Odd Job when slappers only.
I played as nobody. 'cause
You
I didn't play it.
Fucker.
Son of a bitch. Oh, you didn't. Oh, great.
I liked Mario and stuff like that back then.
I mean,
That's okay.
But GoldenEye.
yeah, but it was GoldenEye.
Yeah, I never got into first-person shooters,
But it was
That's
the
okay.
first-person shooter. Like, it
Yeah,
was the game.
For consoles.
and I never got into
yeah,
it.
okay, yeah.
That's fine.
It's like every
You're fine.
Wolfenstein 3D fan in the
Don't
world
let
just
them
went,
judge
what
you."
the fuck?
No. And then I watched Skyfall and Spectre
Oh,
afterwards.
Skyfalls were so good.
Skyfall is really good. I really enjoy it. It's beautiful.
Yep.
Um,
Spectre is beautiful.
and then I watched Spectre. I was like, well, I don't know. I remember not liking it as much, and then I rewatched it, and I like it better than I did the first time. But they're all on Amazon Prime right now.
See,
which is really cool. All of the James Bonds, which is really cool.
I've watched Spectre 3 times, I want to say, and like I'm warming to it. I still
Yeah.
don't. I think it's better than Quantum of Solace, but not by much.
Oh God! Like I still forget that movie exists. I
Oh.
really wish
Oh, it
didn't
exists.
Because I was like, oh yeah. How many has Daniel Craig been in? 3, 2, 3. No, it's 4.
Quantum of Solace.
That's
Yeah.
how I feel about Die Another Day. It's like you're like, oh fuck, there was a movie with Madonna in it.
And Tomorrow Never Dies. And yeah,
Another day. I love Die Another Day.
yeah.
Good song.
It's a great
It's a good
movie.
song, but the
Great.
movie is
Judging a
forgettable.
James
She
Bond
looked
film
really
by
good
its
in that
opening
corset.
song is really not good. I mean, they're all a lot of them. are
Live and
good.
let die. We've done 3 episodes on James Bond. We should probably move on.
Okay. but
Although
James
I'd like
Bond
to do a
is
4th
so
one.
Good.
Yeah. Which one?
All of them. Just James
Yeah.
Bond is so good. Also,
On Her Majesty's Secret Service. It's better than I remember, but still
See,
not
okay,
great.
but it actually has some good quality moments in it.
I actually like Lazenby.
Yeah.
All right, so I think we should move on to today's episode on War for Planet of the Apes. It is the most
What is it
uplifting
good for?
film of the year. Real knee slapper, this one. Although it does have some funny parts, and more so than the other 2 movies. But
I don't know if this one's more depressing or Ebbing, Missouri, 3 Billboards is.
well, that one's more real and isn't full of CGI monkeys.
So
sorry,
that
apes,
one's probably
apes.
more depressing since it
Yeah.
is real.
Yeah.
At least War for
Yeah.
Planet of the Apes, we can still say we're not there yet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
yet.
we might be on our way.
Little do we know it's going to be the elephants, not the apes.
So I haven't ran numbers in a while, and I always bring them up. I don't know why at this point, but basically this movie did poorly. It did nowhere near as good as either Rise or Dawn, which I think is a blessing in disguise, because I think this is a very good ending to a trilogy, and I don't want a 4th one. And if it made more money, we'd be getting a 4th one for sure.
Yeah.
You don't
which
want
is a little
another apes
interesting.
movie with a potential fashion montage?
I mean, hold the phone. That was awesome.
That was weird.
That was great. Great. But all I'm saying is, like, I'm so fine with this trilogy being a trilogy and ending.
Yeah, because like as I'm sure we'll get into it, but like
Yeah.
as you watch the end of the movie, you're like, okay, if this movie does well, yeah, we'll basically just get a remake of all of the other Planet of the Apes movies.
At least just Planet of the Apes.
At least the four, or the original. But yeah, if it doesn't do well, then they'll just end it here, and we'll just transition into the original Planet of the Apes movies.
Yeah, which is kind of what they do.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that more after a.
I mean, with the pan
breakdown,
up, or sorry, tilt up to the
breakdown.
Breakdown.
Graham's
Trying to get out of it.
Graham is trying
No,
to
but what I
avoid
was saying
it
is
and talk over it.
okay. It's a really long, elaborate idea that I have, so it's going to take me a while to explain this. So,
That sounds really boring. We're just going to
Nope.
skip it.
I,
Okay, so war for the Planet of the Apes in 30 seconds.
yikes.
Here we go, 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 go.
All right, so Caesar and his apes have successfully sequestered themselves in the forest until a rogue colonel finds them, murders Caesar's wife and eldest son, imprisons all the apes in an abandoned military base, which he uses as his last stand against the military, who's named him as an extremist. And then Caesar, Maurice, Steve Zahn, and a young girl avoid capture and free the apes.
As so often happens, 90% of the movie was in like 3 seconds.
Yeah, I almost don't want to give it to you because for some reason I don't remember Steve Zahn in this movie. I remember a monkey or an ape, sorry, I'm going to keep doing that, named Bad Ape. But there was no Steve Zahn playing himself, although that would have been awesome.
That would have been awesome.
And Steve Zahn.
Yeah.
Hi.
Because I kept forgetting that it was Steve Zahn until I was like, this character is just so like weird and wild, and why is he opening his mouth all the time? Oh, it's Steve Zahn.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so we'll say that's a success.
Yay.
So the main reason I asked Graham to be on this episode, it wasn't a last-ditch thing like with most of our common guests. This one actually was planned because Graham was one of the few people that was loving these movies with me when they were coming out. But I wanted to bring it because I don't think you're on the other one. How'd the second movie go for you? Did you enjoy that experience?
Yeah. It was tough because it was kind of doomed from the start, because the first trailer that I saw that came out kind of ruined the whole movie for me.
Yeah.
Or at least showed everything, or showed the moment that really just laid out the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good movie. It kind of needed to happen to shift everything. I mean, because like that's kind of the whole thing about this series anyways, is you know where it ends up, you know where it starts, right? And so it's kind of just as necessary, means to an end to kind of get there. But
yeah, but it was interesting more so. I'm not sure if it's more so, but it was the advertising for all three of these movies, to say, has been abysmal.
Yeah, they don't really
Would be
advertise them much.
Well, no, they advertise the shit out of
Yeah.
them. That's the problem. They advertise everything in these movies. If you watch anything beyond like the first trailer that comes out, you know every plot point of all three of these movies. Like it's horrible.
And I don't know what the point is, because again, it's like, you know what's going to happen, so just say, there's apes in it, and there's a cool fight sequence, and all of this stuff, and there's actual heart, and there's actual meaning in a lot of this stuff. Like the first one was so good.
I actually think all three of them are fantastic movies.
Yeah.
Like they're really well made. Emily disagrees. She just gives face.
This movie is okay. I didn't love War for Planet of the Apes. It was meh.
I think
They
it's
all do a
fantastic,
really good
but-
job of having you feel for the apes, and really getting in the heart, and just
Get a little
in their lives.
conflicted of like, all right, should I root for the extermination of humanity?
Yes,
I do,
actually,
all
right
the time.
now,
Yeah.
given
All the
our
time.
current circumstances,
not
I
like
think
it's-
we deserve it.
It's barely a question in my mind.
Yeah.
Because, like the whole phrase throughout the whole movies is apes together strong, and all I can think of, man together dumb. Like, like that's basically it, especially where we're at right now.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, apes together strong. Like they all come together with heart, and they're just learning how to be, but not live together in a colony, but like be together and intelligently care for one another. And that's just something that kind of inherently comes to them. Whereas for humans, it seems like it has to be second nature. It has to be learned for us, and we just want to destroy everything and dominate everything.
You're touching on what I think is by far the strongest thing in this movie, and why I love this movie as much as I do, and why I thought it was great. This movie does a great job showing, like what you're saying, ape together strong. So they know that they need to stay together and to stay the fuck out of humans' way, and like we'll stop killing each other. You fuck off and just leave us alone. Everything will be fine.
Yeah.
And not only are humans unwilling to do that, just be like, well, no, you could have peace on our terms. We're not going to have it on your terms. Fuck you. We're the smart ones. Not only is that going on, the biggest conflict for the humans is not the apes, which could destroy the whole planet. It's each other. The whole movie, the humans are preparing for a war with other humans. The war for the planet of the apes has nothing to do with the apes.
Yeah.
Like, and for me, I think that's just fascinating. Like,
and the simian disease, but
well, yeah, but I mean, it's the fact that the main reason why humans get wiped out beyond the disease is because they kill each other.
Yeah.
Which is just so fucked, but totally true.
An avalanche kills them.
Well,
nature takes them out.
Well, eventually, but
like
still,
between the simian disease and the avalanche, that actually what did most of the damage.
I mean, that's just honestly the stupidity adding on to it. We're like, guys, you're in a mountainous area with a lot of snow. That was a big explosion. You really shouldn't be running towards it.
Yeah.
Like that.
Humans are stupid.
Yeah.
But
man together dumb. Like I said.
But I love that aspect of the movie.
Yeah, because that's a consistency throughout all three movies. Is that no, we are man. We must rule all, and whether it's apes or dogs or whatever, we have to control everything and make it our own. Right? Because it's like the disease was there from the beginning, but not so much stated until this movie.
Right.
And then the avalanche was really just the icing on the top. For this one, but really throughout the whole thing, man has just been trying to destroy and rule Mother Nature, really.
Yeah.
And this is Mother
Nature.
Nature at the
took
end.
him the fuck out.
Oh,
exactly. It was like, no, sorry.
Yeah.
Strong will survive. So.
And the thing that I love about that is that in all three of these movies, humans would be fine if they just fucking calm down. Like, especially like you go to the first one, it's like they all would have been fine if they just let James Franco's thing not be tested as much as it was. I don't remember exactly how it all worked out, but like I know it was helping his dad, and then it stopped helping his dad, so he made it stronger, and they moved it immediately into testing apes, which made the apes go fucking crazy and take over the woods outside of the Golden Gate Bridge, which don't exist, but that's fine.
Well, they are
they're
the
just
woods.
there. They're just.
They're not the great redwoods that they like to say that they are.
The forest that they live in is forever long.
Oh yeah.
They're like, we'll just move north, more north. But you're still in California?
When are we going to get to Seattle?
Yeah. The redwoods are that close. Seattle should just be like a stone throw away from the Golden Gate Bridge.
We're moving more north to the border of California, bordering California.
Which actually leads me to think, like, if they had just moved to Portland, they probably would be fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
People in Oregon would have been like, it's cool, man.
Oh, cool monkeys,
you guys
man.
can
They're
hang
all
out.
Or
dead.
Southern California. We'd be a little bit more
that's
open
true.
to
We'd
it.
be
But
all right.
really, like
Just-
Redding and
Can you
like
see,
that
like,
area.
a fucking ape walking down Hollywood Boulevard? You'd be like, whatever. Be you, man. Do you.
I'd be a little
Guy's carrying a
concerned.
briefcase.
Cool costume, man.
Yeah.
Like Andy Serkis, you're taking this a
You
little
would
too
be
far.
perfect for my next project. Who's your representation?
Oh, CAA, cool.
Those guys are a bunch of monkeys. Wait, no, I'm sorry.
Apes, I'm sorry. It's a weird theoretical
Was it-
monkey man.
Was it this movie that we had to do with the children yelling behind us?
No, that was Dawn.
That was
Yeah.
Dawn.
Ooh, a monkey!
Okay.
There's a lot of monkeys. Shut the fuck up, kid.
Actually, an ape. Please shut up. Kid.
Just say
please,
ape.
Please shut up.
Just say ape. Just say ape.
The best part was when we complained, and then somebody came in to investigate. And then while that person was investigating, the mom was actually just holding on to her son's mouth the whole time.
Stop
She
saying
didn't want to
monkey.
get kicked out. So she's like, if I could just make him be quiet while they're standing there and staring at us.
And then you turn around, and she has accidentally covered her child's mouth and
Yeah,
nose,
she
and the
was.
child is
Yeah.
dead. And now.
Oh, he wasn't dead.
At least he'd be quiet for the rest of the movie.
Didn't they actually
Things
start
got bleak.
Because the kids started crying.
I don't remember. It was a long time ago.
Twas.
So this movie,
Yes.
Sorry.
The next thing I kind of want to talk about this movie beyond just like the ramifications of or humans versus the Earth, which Earth wins. At least in the movies, it does.
Every time.
The other thing I want to bring up is the score. Like, I want to bring the score up like right away because usually it's like the last tacked on thing. Oh, and the score was good. The score in this movie, much like the one before it, is my favorite one of the year so far. Like, it's just so good, and it's like it's one of these things where I guess it's a good thing. Part of me wants to say it isn't. That Michael Giacchino has been hired again and again to replicate other former composers' work, and he does it in a way that makes it both his own but still totally theirs. And it's awesome that you get, it almost feels you're getting new music by these other people. Like when he did Rogue One, it felt like John Williams' score with a little bit of Giacchino.
Especially given how little time he had to do to make that happen.
Yeah, and that one, well, he had way more time for this one, but for
That's
Rogue
what I mean,
One,
for Rogue One, yeah.
And he does a great job taking other people's music and making it his own. It kind of makes me wish for the old days of like Pixar when he'd just get entirely his own thing and it was amazing. But at the same time, like this one in particular, the score is just so good. And they brought back, if you watch like the special features, Chewie and I watching it today, they brought back the original percussionist from the first 5 movies for this movie, who's old as dirt. And it's funny, they're talking to him about it. Like, so the percussion in the first movie was really strange. Like, what do you use for? He's like, oh, I got kicked out of a lot of hardware stores because I would just be in with mixing bowls, just hitting them really hard because they need to make the right noise.
Nice.
And it's funny. And
the process of finding those types of unique noises that you associate with specific franchises is always fascinating. Because not a lot of times, not to ever discount any musician's like grandeur, but not every musician would do that.
Yeah.
They wouldn't just go exploring for that new perfect sound. They just do it in studio. And that's one of the things that Star Wars was always so amazing about, was that they just go out in the world and hit things. Is this a lightsaber? Is this the sound for the apes when they're walking through the woods? I don't know. Maybe this one is. And to me, I find that incredibly fascinating since I'm not a musically inclined person. And I wouldn't really be able to hear the different like resonances and notes that these people hear.
oh yeah, and the thing is, like when they first made the first one, I'm forgetting the original composer's name. I usually know it off the top of my head. I apologize. But what the original guy did was he made such a distinct musical like signature that when you hear it, it instantly feels like Planet of the Apes. Like you hear that, you're like, oh, I'm watching a Planet of the Apes movies. And they kept it throughout all first 5 movies. And when they did the Tim Burton one, they threw it out the window, and the Tim Burton one is horrendously awful, yet still one of the most successful out of all of them, which I find fascinating. Oh yeah, did very
Tim
well.
Burton.
It's very good prosthetics.
It did very well, but they never did a sequel. Dang. But that one and then
Still
both.
You didn't like the Lincoln Memorial reveal at the end.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of it.
No,
Although
cops
I
in
do like
full
the idea-
clothing come out as apes. No, that was weird.
I do like the idea of a Tim Roth statue. I'm into that, but beyond that, no, didn't really like it.
There's if you read the greatest movies never made or the greatest sci-fi movies never made, I forget which book it's in, but they talk about the Planet of the Apes and the original, like when they were originally starting to want to remake it, they had all these plans and they had this what sounded, I don't remember the details because it was a while since I read the book, but like they had a really cool plan for what they were going to do with that movie. Apparently there was a producer who was adamant that they have a scene of apes playing baseball, and he kept insisting they write it in. And so they finally they got a writer who wrote in the scene of apes playing baseball and then took it back, and they were like, oh, the scene is stupid, the whole script is stupid, and threw it out. And then in came Tim Burton, and they ended up doing. So there was a version of that remake that was supposed to be actually pretty solid script, and it was just one producer who just would not let it fucking go about the baseball apes.
That makes me think of when Kevin Smith talked about trying to make Superman.
Yeah,
and
with
there's
the
that
spider.
one producer that wanted him to fight a spider.
Yeah.
Hey, he got that spider. He just had to
Yeah,
wait till
Wild
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 West.
West.
Yeah. But he got his goddamn
But it's
spider.
weird how like some dumb things like that will just totally derail an entire project.
Yeah.
Oh, that producer still denies that story, by the way.
Of course he
Yikes.
does.
Anyhow, the last thing I was going to mention on the music is that it's great, and I want it to win an Academy Award, and I don't think that it will, but I feel like it should.
Yeah.
It
won't.
Just to interrupt you two a little bit, because I don't have much room to get into your guys' discussion because you guys are both way more into it than I am. Or I'm
Brian
assuming
a little more than I am, but yeah.
I love these movies.
Yeah.
than Emily is at this moment as well. But yes, for someone who's not as big of a fan with the music, it was amazing to me that I was able to pick it out even because I only seen the originals once. You had me sit down for a week and we watched each one.
Graham was there for one of them. He showed up for Conquest. Everyone loves Conquest. It's the best.
And
all shot in Century City.
even when we were watching those, I mean, I got an appreciation for them, but even so, it was a little bit of a chore for me because I just didn't have the connection to it from my youth. I love you, honey. I'm sorry. But
I had to audible sigh loud enough so that everyone could hear how annoyed I am.
I never even thought about it while I was watching those films about the score. So then when I'm watching this one specifically more than the other two, and I actually like feel it. Like before I even thought about it, I was just like, well, that feels familiar. Like that got me a little excited. Why is that getting me a little excited right now? It's like, oh, because yes, that is from the original. Like it hit me in a way that I didn't even know I had attached myself to.
Well, here's the thing that I find amazing about it, and I hope it was intentional. I could be wrong. But in the first movie, there's virtually none of the original score. Like there's a few musical hits here and there, but virtually none. And in the second one, it's about half and half. And by the third one, it's 100%. So it's almost like the world is evolving through music from not
That's
the Planet of
cool.
the Apes to Planet of the Apes. And like if that was the goal, because it's there, if it was the goal, then
That
I
is
love
pretty
that.
clever.
That is some
It has to be the
artistic
goal.
intent that
Yeah.
needs to be appreciated.
Yeah, I hope that
yeah.
was the plan, because if it was, even if it wasn't, if it's a happy accident, it still turned out amazing. I'm a really big fan of the
I
score.
know you are.
But let's talk the main man, Andy Serkis.
Oh, man.
Amazing. It looks
Incredible.
so
Yeah.
good.
I
Like,
don't
and kudos to
understand
the VFX team because
Weta
they
is
just keep
amazing.
getting better and better and
Yeah.
better. This looks fucking spectacular.
And this, you go back to Rise, and it still holds up. Like it still looks better than most movies out today, and it's not, and it's nowhere near as good as this one is. And like it was funny because like Chewie and I, when we were watching it, I brought up, I'm like, there's no reason for these apes to look this good and Thanos to look like a big fucking pink eraser. Like there's no reason. If it's using the same technology of mocap and whatnot, why do these things look picture real?
Yeah.
Not all the time, but I would say more, especially by the time the third one, more often than not, it looks like they are real apes in this movie, and Thanos looks ridiculous.
Well, that's
Yeah.
the,
Who they hire.
the argument of genre in a way of how, like, the best example of that argument, even though it was a bad movie, was I think it was R.I.P. or whatnot, the one
R.I.P.D.
R.I.P.D. and how they did real things. They did real prosthetics and they did real stuff, but then they put CG over it to make everything look like a cartoon. Because for some reason, there's a demographic that likes that. They don't
did that
want
with the
the
new
photoreal
That
stuff.
was the prime example people bring up more often than not. It was not R.I.P.D. was a big proponent of as well, but the worst was the new thing.
Yeah.
They did
Yeah.
100% practical
Awful.
effects
For some
and then
reason-
CGI'd over all of them.
Yep.
There is a
Gaussian
subset
blur
of
over everything.
audiences that want it to look cartoony in a slight way. They
it's
don't
not-
want it to be.
I don't think
photoreal.
people actually do. I think
But they
people,
do
I think,
because
I think it's
they
one of those
go-
producer
they go
things
to
that
those
says,
movies
no,
and they like
they
it."
should, there should be a spider in every scene. I think it's one of those things. Like, no, I'll tell you what you like. You're going to love this. You're going to love this, kid. Like,
No,
why does it look like crap? Like,
well,
give me something real.
I can tell you what it is because they've broken it down. It's not that people want it; they show up to it because it's still properties that they enjoy and they deal with it. Just like we went and saw. I loved Justice League. Special effects in Justice League are rocky at best.
Yeah, Steppenwolf doesn't look great.
Steppenwolf was terrible. You have fuzzy face for Superman, although it's not as bad if you see it in 2D. See it in 2D.
Yeah, don't see it in 3D.
Do not see it in 3D. It's a rough mess, but like it's fine. But producers look at demographics and demographics of kids specifically. They love video games. So for some reason, these old dumb guys think that if their movies look more like video games, kids will go see them. There's nothing to validate this, but that is
If
from
I
what
want to
I've
play a
read.
video game, I'll go play a video game.
Exactly.
Exactly.
But
Because, if you're going to the theater, and that's the great thing about these movies is, when you go to the theater and you see it, and you're like, oh, this looks real. Like, this looks like these are actually real apes in this movie. And I think one thing that, Marvel and DC and stuff like that could learn, or whatever, the cartoon version, movie versions of these, is that would be the difference. Is, when you want to be in a video game space, we can all accept that it's going to look like a video game. Great. But when you go to the movies, you want it to look picture real, photo real. You want to be in that world. Like, take me somewhere where I am not, right? And then if I can believe that this stuff actually exists, that's what we want. That's the beauty. That's the wonderful thing about movies is taking us somewhere out of reality and putting us in this new reality with whatever this is.
And that's
The
why
standards aren't there for every movie.
no, but like that's again getting back to Andy Serkis, like with Andy Serkis and say Woody Harrelson or Jason Clarke from the other ones, or like anybody, even back to Franco, like if Andy Serkis wasn't there doing this job for these guys to act off of, this whole movie would fall apart. Like if you watch the behind the scenes thing, it looks ridiculous.
Yeah, and that's true for all of the character actors in it.
Yeah.
in this
I
movie.
love the
mean,
woman who plays Maurice.
Oh, she's so good.
It's incredible.
Karen Canovel? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
But she does an amazing job.
Yeah.
Like,
and the interaction between the two, between Andy Serkis and Marie, like
oh
it's
yeah,
just,
so good.
And I never would have guessed it was Steve Zahn if I hadn't had IMDb.
I can pick his voice out so quick.
Yeah.
I've seen Saving Silverman too many fucking times. Like
That is one of my biggest guilty pleasure films. I watch it every year. I know.
Like-
I love Steve Zahn, but he brought out a thing in Bad Ape that I would have just thought of him. I never would have thought of him as this type of actor because I'm so used to him being a goofy dude. I mean, he played a goofy ape.
yeah. So
Yeah.
Bad
But-
Ape is the goofiest ape.
But it was such a specific character that it didn't feel like Steve Zahn to me. It just felt like Bad Ape.
Yeah, I mean, at first watch, I was like, "Who is this? Like, this voice sounds familiar," and I can't. But I know this character. And then when I was like, "Oh, it's Steve Zahn." Oh, it's Steve Zahn's in this movie. Then it's like I can't unsee it.
I did like his character very much because like everybody's so super serious, and it was nice to see an ape that was just a dude,
Yeah.
trying to live his life, and he wasn't trying to be part of the war, but sure, he'll go, look, he's so excited to have friends that he'll like, yeah, I'll join you guys. This is pretty great. It was just such a different character that we haven't seen in these guys before.
I
mean, not
they
to
gave
move
him
off-
more motivation than that, which I really appreciated because it wasn't just a fun romp for him.
That's true.
He was getting
It was revenge.
He was getting
Yeah.
a sense of justice through Caesar because they have that tiny scene where he's like, I had a child as well. And just that little moment between the two of them, I think the sincerity and the touchingness of that moment is just, it makes me tear up every time.
Not to move off of Andy Serkis is too much, but Steve Zahn and Bad Ape is probably my biggest qualm with this movie.
Qualm.
Yeah, just
Is it qualm time now?
Qualm, qualm.
is clone a word? Sorry,
Oh, you say it too many times, it definitely doesn't sound like one.
I said clone.
Qualcomm. Just because I love these movies so much, and I love them because they have so much heart and are, I don't know, so close to, I'll use air quotes on reality, that having comic relief just felt
It felt like a studio note.
unrealistic. Yeah, it took me out of it. Like, I understand the need for it, but yeah, it totally feels like a studio note. You're like, yeah, you guys just take yourself so seriously. But that's what I love about these movies is they take them so seriously.
But I think and Matt Reeves was not a number one director for me at all. Like it was after I saw Let Me In, I'm like, he's good. It's not really my favorite, and he's gone from like. He's a director I'm aware of to one of my favorites over the past few years. And just listening to him talk about everything, like I really enjoy everything he does. And I think this studio note of a character, if that's what you want to call him or what I want to call him, was handled very well. Like, because if this wasn't the intentional to always have him be that character, I think having a comedic relief character, especially in movies today where people just want escapism. They don't want super serious movies, and we're proven time and time again. It kind of makes sense that like, all right, well, you got to lighten this one up because this one's fucking bleak.
It is really bleak, and his introduction is pretty great too. Like with where you can't see what or who he actually is, and then you have this huge chase sequence, and he fires back at Caesar, and you're like, this is a really intense moment, and then immediately into slapstick comedy.
He serves more than one purpose than
Yeah.
that.
That's the thing. If you have a comic relief character that's all they do is tell jokes, then
But he
that's no
doesn't
good.
just do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
That's
also the vision into the actual Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
Where they realized it wasn't just them that was
Right.
affected. It's every ape in the world, probably.
Well, that's why I say
or
like
soon to be.
yeah, that's why I say like if this was a studio note that you need to have a relief character, they did it perfectly. Like
Yeah.
they took somebody and it's like, all right, well, if we have to have a light character, we'll make him centric to the plot and make him important, and that's what they did. Like they made a character worthwhile and not just there to crack jokes and say, "Where's my banana?" Like they could have made it much worse.
Oh yeah, and that's the
I
it's
loathe
like to
bananas.
to give this movie
Yay!
its credit.
It's for you, honey.
Is that still that is my biggest qualm, and it's like I just wish he didn't have as many comedic notes as he did. But he's still an incredible piece of it, and he opens up the world of the Planet of the Apes as opposed to just Northern California is full of apes now.
I feel like I'm probably the only person here then who I enjoyed a lot of things about the movie that we've discussed, but overall I felt kind of lukewarm about it.
Why?
And I did see the previous two.
Yeah, it's a long time ago, and that's one of my.
That's why I'm wondering if you had the
qualms.
connection to the previous two.
I have two qualms. We're doing qualms.
It's Qualm Corner today, guys.
Qualm Corner, brought to you by Qualcomm.
Okay, so my first is that I feel like you had to have seen the previous two movies to really follow this.
Oh my God, yeah.
And it had been a long time since I'd seen them, so I just kind of forgot. But there was no entry point. If you are not familiar with the series, you can't just pick this movie up. And I feel strongly that with a few exceptions, for the most part, every movie needs to be able to be seen by someone who hasn't seen the previous installments. Maybe there are some, but even a Star Wars movie, you can pick it up having never seen previous Star Wars movie and get in pretty quickly, I think.
I would disagree on almost every third installment of any franchise. Even Thor Ragnarok.
Third installment, yeah.
Yeah, third installments, I think. Second ones can, third ones, they just don't. Almost across the board.
I just don't see how you get any character development if you have to make each one.
I don't know, but what
Especially
I do
without
know...
a previously on...
Yeah.
What
Because
I
you can jump
Apes.
into Dawn, no problem.
What I do
Sorry,
know is if
continue.
we're going to judge this movie on its merits, then having to have seen two previous movies to understand it is a mark in the negative column for me, because I had trouble giving a shit. That's the problem. Is it's beautiful. The acting is amazing. I like that character. The score was great, but I don't I had, in order to really appreciate these characters, you had to come in with a pre-existing knowledge of them, and I just couldn't remember. I've seen those movies, I just couldn't remember, and so I was like, wait, who are these now? And then my second issue is I felt like Woody Harrelson's character, who we haven't really talked about yet, was so arch and so bad. And so even when he was telling a story which should have made him sympathetic, it made him worse. That there was no point. I like my villains to have a little bit of, oh man, yeah, I see why that guy's like that. You kind of see why that guy's like that, but he's still a fucking asshole. There was nothing about this man that humanized him, which is kind of funny given the nature of the movie. And maybe that's the point.
Yeah.
I
really
think
think
you're
that was
nailing
intentional.
what worked about it.
Yeah, well, not for me. Not for me, buddy.
But because
kind of-
what? Sorry, go ahead.
I find it refreshing in a way, because especially ever since the early 2000s, really, I think that's when it started. Especially in horror films, they wanted the people doing all the murder stuff to have some relatability, and
They want every villain to be the hero in their own story.
yeah, and I don't really
I like that.
I don't.
Well, fine.
The biggest example of that, Darth Vader.
Yeah.
We didn't get relatable Darth Vader until the end of the second movie, but he was still an iconic villain that you were afraid of. You didn't understand him. You didn't know his motivation other than he was a villain, and everyone loved it. We don't really get those type of villains anymore. That's one of my biggest issues with the Marvel films. Every villain has its backstory of they're you can kind of understand why they're mad.
He's
I
not
don't
really a bad
care
guy.
why they're mad. I want them to be a villain.
Yeah, I want them to be unstoppable.
I just
want
really
them
like-
just
I
be
want to be
incredible,
afraid.
unstoppable force.
For this movie though, in particular, and this franchise in particular, I think Woody Harrelson's character is spot on perfect. And the reason I say that is each one of these movies, Caesar has a specific human counterpoint, and they parallel each other. So in the first movie, it's an ignorant child. James Franco thinks everything's going to be fine if he just keeps plunging ahead and everything's going to be great. And Caesar has the same reaction. In the second movie with Jason Clarke, it's we can live together. We can make this work. We can totally make this work. And Caesar has the exact same thing. In the third movie, Caesar is broken by the death of his child and wants nothing but revenge. Just like Woody Harrelson is broken by killing his child and wants nothing but revenge on humanity for putting him in this position. They parallel each other so well at every point. Caesar, if you're looking at it from the human point of view, is just as ruthless and just as horrible as Woody Harrelson is to us from the Apes point of
But
view.
Caesar's humanized.
because we've had
for lack of a
Point
better
of
term.
view.
Yeah, but I mean,
Which is the point.
Yeah.
But that's because we're on his
the
side.
turning point,
Yeah.
right?
But he's
I would like to know what I would like to feel like Woody Harrelson has a side, and his side is just like, that's his whole side.
For me,
Which sounds like
Literally.
Which sounds like an ape.
Yes.
Yeah.
for me,
That's exactly the point.
Woody Harrelson,
This is the cross point.
Woody Harrelson's side is total nihilism.
Yeah,
He-
that just doesn't work for I just need to. I like moral conundrums. I like being in a. I like characters who are put in a situation where they're like, what is good and bad? And I just feel like this was like apes good, humans bad. And again, that maybe is the point. Maybe I just didn't like it.
That's fine.
You know, I mean, I agree. Like,
There's a lot of people that
humanity's
don't like these movies.
Yeah, humanity's fucked up.
But
I
they're
agree,
wrong.
but I think well, okay. But I feel I want a little bit more gray area, and I feel like this movie just didn't have any. And I don't know. That's just my perspective.
Yeah.
I totally see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I don't think you're wrong. I think that it's I think the gray area was all like because was all established in the second movie, which again you say is a problem. Because if you didn't have the gray area established in the second movie, this one is very black and white.
Yeah.
And you really need to watch it as a sequel. Like it does not really
So
exist on
basically,
its own.
if you're gonna watch War for the Planet of the Apes, carve out a day to watch all 3 movies.
Yeah, and it'll
you
be a
can,
wonderful
you can
day.
totally skip the first one. Like it's like
But the
I mean-
first one has so many good moments.
no,
I
I'm not saying you should skip the first one. It's a great movie, but I'm saying that if you just wanted to watch War, you need to watch Dawn. If you just want to watch Dawn,
yeah.
you can just throw in Dawn.
Every
you'll be fine.
one of the flashbacks to Kubo makes zero sense if you don't remember
Yeah.
or have seen the other one.
Yeah, not at all. Like you get this weird, like, oh, there's a really evil ape in his dreams. I don't really know why he's there, but he
is this?
seems fucking
He
pissed.
doesn't
Who
look
is this
nice at
ghost
all.
Yeah, I got a little confused.
Yeah. Kubo was incredible though.
Yeah,
Incredible villain. I mean, yeah.
But
I do like
there's
that-
your sympathetic villain right there.
oh yeah, all over the second one.
Kubo,
When-
total villain, but you kind of understand his perspective.
Did
Yeah.
anybody else realize that now Dawn of the Planet of the Apes is King Kong versus King Kong? Because both Kubo and Andy Serkis have played King Kong.
Oh, nice.
But have either of them played Queen Kong?
No, only one person has played Queen Kong, and we should never mention this again.
I'm always going to mention it.
There's a Queen Kong.
Oh
Remember,
my
I
god!
told you about this.
Did you?
It was in my Where Have I Been Doing once.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Apparently, I
Or
didn't
Wonder
sell
Woman.
it hard enough.
Yeah, that is a
Maybe we should watch that tonight.
maybe not. But maybe
Oh,
I'm
I
leaving maybe on the
remember,
table.
I remember. Yeah.
We want to watch the porn star hang out with
Yes. And
I
then-
do remember.
about
And
we'll
talk
watch
about
Dawn.
being
Yeah.
liberated.
Brian and I will
Oh
watch
my
Dawn.
God.
We'll be in another room.
or we can bring a VCR and watch Sloane.
Oh God.
There's always room for Sloane
Or red green.
or Red Green.
Yeah.
This is gonna be a weird
Yeah.
night.
Yep.
Yeah. I'll bring my Laserdisc player.
Anyhow,
No one listening to podcasts
How about the
cares.
podcast that we're on?
happening.
Yeah, that was a weird sidestep. that I'm probably just going to delete and leave in this part.
And the one
And
thing
that was
that I
weird.
brought up.
Anyways.
That was weird. Get out of
Some
here,
weird
Ape.
shit happened, you guys. Weird shit.
And
One
we're
thing that I brought up again, not really again, but when we were watching it last night, I was just watching it and like all the pretty horses that the apes have, and I'm
Aw.
like, do you realize that no matter who's sentient,
Horses get
horses
fucked.
get
Yeah.
fucked? Horses are the bitch.
Planet of the Horses.
Yeah.
Not literally, but
Like if you had to fight between a horse or an ape, which one would you choose?
I don't want to be stomped on by a horse. I'll tell you that much.
well, looking at the
Or
horses,
pounded on by an ape. Both of these sound shitty.
and the one thing that I see, like with the horses thing, is like with humans, we're around a good average weight and size, but with
Gorillas
apes,
weigh a lot.
they're
gorillas weigh
really
so much.
effing heavy. And I just whenever they're just like,
Well, yeah, but think about
"Oh,
humans
you
wearing
poor-"
like armor.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But I still think a
No,
gorilla might
apes,
wear more.
Apes are hundreds of pounds. It's
I just,
That's
I,
one of the
Not
reasons
the
that
same.
we haven't
The
gone
only time-
horseback riding is Brian doesn't get to the weight limit.
Yeah, I don't. I'm
love
too
it.
big for horses. I have to get a real big fucking horse.
Like they want you to be
I'm
under
terrified
200
of that.
pounds.
No, under 250, and I'm just a little bit over.
I
I mean, I think I'd be fine. I don't think they're like,
apes
get
are
on this
well
scale.
over 250.
All I know,
They're
look,
like in the 4s, 5s.
I
Yeah,
rode.
that's-
We went horseback riding on my honeymoon, and my only memory of it is just like realizing at one point that you kind of think the horse knows what it's doing and it's just going to take care of everything. It What? It does not.
Nope.
No, it's
You
an
have
animal.
to tell it
That
what to
horse
do.
wants to eat grass.
No, you have to tell it what to do, and if you don't, apparently it will run you right into a tree.
Oh, has
Um,
Has no
which
problem with
I,
that.
I learned the hard way.
you ran into a tree.
I did, and then I fell off the horse when I was trying to get off gently.
hey, you and Superman have something in common.
Right, so
Wow.
man,
As
wow.
he's drinking out of a Superman mug.
I love Superman. He's
This
just always on my
guy.
brain.
Did
but my-
Superman fall off a horse?
My point,
Okay,
Christopher
we
Reeve.
gotta
Oh,
move
Christopher
We
Reeve.
gotta
My
move
point
on.
is
This
horses are
not-
terrifying.
Okay.
I didn't
So
make the connection.
my point is horses are terrifying. So if horses did take over the planet, I actually would be more afraid of a horse than an ape.
I probably
Fair
would
point.
be too.
An ape has never tried to crash me into a tree.
Yet.
And you might
Yeah.
be able.
What about fire an AK-47 at you? See?
My-
Horses can't do
Guns
that.
don't
have
kill
thumbs.
people. Guns don't kill people. People kill people, and monkeys do too. Gotta go.
And
Thank you,
dangerous
Eddie
apes
Izzard.
who are trying to end the world. Yeah.
Seriously, the only time the horse thing bothered me was when the gorilla's
did
on
bother
there
me. I
and
just
he
thought it was
picks up
funny.
the
Yeah.
other ape to put on his back. Like, oh, you
Yeah.
lost your horse. Hop on this one with me. And that horse is like, fuck you.
And the horse snaps in twain.
It's like a watermelon.
Yeah.
I also did like once they got to the top of the hill after the chase, and Bad Ape is no longer on the white horse. The white horse is just coming back to them and be like, "Guys, something weird just happened."
Some tiny
Just
little
coming
ape just
back to
rode me.
him.
The last thing I
Sounds
feel
an
like we
exciting
should...
Saturday night.
Tiny little, mostly hairless ape.
Gross. The last thing I want to talk about in this movie before we move on to quotes and whatnot
Production design.
was not production design. So I guess the second to last
should
thing I
talk
want to
about
talk about, we'll finish with production design, is the girl. Nova, if you will. Nova, not Nova. Matt Reeves has confirmed. He's like, oh, it's just a coincidence name. It's not supposed to be Nova from the original.
Oh,
It's
And
supposed
that's a weird choice.
Well, I think the idea is supposed to be like they don't know what to name humans, so now they have a name. So they have a Nova, so if Nova has a daughter, like, oh, it's another Nova. So
Yeah.
it's supposed to be like this could be,
Oh, now it's a 2017 Nova.
yeah. It'll just carry down the line of more people use the name Nova to name more
Confusing.
characters. Which, I mean, it kind of makes sense. Like, in a way, like you name pets.
Yeah, but you give them different
Like, just
names.
Ape.
Sometimes. there's some
My
people who
brother
like,
I mean,
named
how
the
much-
cat
Snowball
Aaron
3.
after himself, so that cat was Aaron Cat the rest of its life.
That's
because-
kind of amazing.
yeah, like people do that all the time. Though. Like there's like some people whenever their dog dies, they get the same breed and name it the same thing, so they feel like they keep the same animal.
Let it go, man.
I agree. It's weird, but people do it.
kind of sad.
So maybe
Yeah.
that's the
and
Nova.
I say this as someone whose dog died this
And with-
week. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and with apes, I mean, it's like, okay, Coco, Koba, whatever. It's like how many four-letter
Rocket.
names, Rocket, like, or just like random names are you going to give these animals?
yeah. So I mean, it kind of makes
Yeah,
sense.
it
Like
kinda
they scrape the bottom of the barrel of monkeys. I'm proud of that one.
Yes.
moving on.
But no, I want to keep explaining why the joke was funny. But what I liked about having her in this movie, beyond just giving Caesar the constant reminder of the hashtag not all humans are horrible, death-seeking fuckers, it gave an excellent thing that I didn't think they were going to approach in the new trilogy, which is why can't humans talk in the originals?
Yeah.
And I thought that was really fascinating. Just showing it happen and showing how afraid people are of that happening to them. So like the second it happens to any of them, they just kill them. Like it's just like it's really fucked up because they're still alive.
Yeah. They still have thoughts. You can
Yeah.
still see that there's something behind the eyes they just can't get.
But that's
out.
been
Yeah.
one thing that humanity, especially mostly white civilization, has fought against its entire time: the perception of being primitive.
Mm-hmm.
They either want to conquer it or they want to kill it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And-
It's not
that's
tolerated.
the whole thing about the series. It's like we are the top dog. We must be heard. We must,
Yeah.
if something, comes against us, it must be destroyed or dominated. And I think it really legitimizes this from the actual original movies when, it's like, oh, people just weren't taught how to speak, so that's why they can't speak, and they're just dumb now. It's like, no, this is a long series of a disease robbing them of language and then presumably robbing them of logic and everything else, like stealing the one thing that makes us human is this higher form of thought. And yeah, it's like that is the only thing that separates us from animals.
Yeah.
And what would happen if that's something that is an unstoppable force like a disease? What would happen if there was nothing that we could do about it? And
We'd go mad.
it's terrifying.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome to bring that to life and really make it solidified in this movie.
Yeah. So yeah, like even if you don't think the movie is great as a whole, which Emily is
I didn't
far
think
from.
I didn't think it was a bad movie.
No, you're far from the only person who's told me that.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
I have somebody
Yeah,
who loved the first two movies.
I'm never
and
gonna
saw-
love these as much as Brian does.
Yeah.
Well, Planet of the Apes are some of the best movies ever made. I think we all agree with that. Moving on. But like, even if you don't love the movie, I haven't spoken to anybody who's like, no, it was all around terrible.
Yeah.
Like everyone's like, no, there's some really really interesting themes and plot and character and stuff in there, and just people just didn't like the whole package, which I can't. I disagree with it, but I don't think like you're wrong by any means because
Well, yeah, it's an opinion.
Yeah, well, we're
can
living
have a
in
wrong
2017.
opinion.
All opinions are wrong except for
You
your
have
own.
some wrong opinions. Kind of like saying that there's some really good people on both sides, guys.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
that's a fucked up
Wow.
opinion. But like the long and the short of it is, I think I love that we got this trilogy, and I love that we got this updated, really cool story of Planet of the Apes, especially when I was convinced we'd never get another one of these things, and when they told me they were making them, because they called me first, of course, I was like, no, thank you, I don't want that at all. It sounds horrible. Don't
Actually-
make this franchise.
Yeah, especially like we were talking about with before with CGI and stuff like that. It's like, dude, like I can't remember what the year the first one came out, but it's like I don't know if the technology is ready to like make this real. Like, are they gonna just be in floppy masks again? Like,
Yeah.
what? Like I don't know if we can survive that in the 2000s.
And they even said like, well, we're using the same effects company that did Gollum in Lord of the Rings. I'm like, yeah, he was good, but he still looks a little cartoony.
Yeah, he still looks plasticky and rubbery in parts.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it was good, but man, not real.
Yeah.
But yeah, when this came out, I am still astonished from this one and the first one of like how real this is. Like when you get close up with, you know, their fur and you see it's like it's actually moving like real fur, and then they get wet and they're in conditions. They're,
And they're
in
in
the
snow.
world and they're
In
in
the-
snow
yeah.
with ice and icicles and stuff. And it's all and it looks so realistic. It's incredible. It's mind-blowing how real this stuff is.
Yeah. But last but not least, as soon as Chewie's done blowing her face out, will she?
Allergies, man.
But Chewie wanted to bring up production design, which personally I think it was better in the one before this. But
It's mainly like the biggest moment of production design in this movie for me was the ski lodge when they go to see Bad Ape, because there's so much levity in that scene with the production design because it's still destroyed and everything, but it's beautiful, and there's not too many beautiful shots in this movie. Everything's kind of, even when they're in the forest, they're hiding, so their hiding area is not that great looking. It was much more grand in the second movie, where it felt like a big community in an ape city, and now they're in hiding, so there's not much grandeur to it. And then you get to the human side, well, they're hiding in an abandoned armory that turned into a quarantine place where people were dying left and right. So that place is degrading and dirty and old and falling apart. And I just love the production design when you got to the magical wonderland of that ski loft, because everything's covered in snow, everything's clean. They got the beautiful ice. They even have a moment where I thought there was another person there, because you see in the background there's a girl sitting on a fake ski loft. I don't remember if it's a mannequin or if it's a picture, but it looked like a real person for a moment. And that's like, I don't know. I was just looking at everything around in that scene. I loved it dearly. I would have had a hell of a time putting that together, because that involved a lot of work.
it did, but there isn't a single set on this movie that isn't half green screen. Every single one.
Take my
No.
wind out of it.
I'm not saying that
Still need a
at all.
production
I'm
design.
saying that in a good way. Like Matt Reeves has a great eye for how to blend practical with CG.
And that says a lot about the production design team
Yeah,
as well.
exactly.
That they can sort of anticipate what the CGI is going to look like and decorate accordingly.
You without a very good production designer who can plan accordingly, you don't get it to look that
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, it just
or
looks
you
like
can't.
boxes set in front of green screen. You're
Exactly.
Like, okay, that's real, and that's obviously not.
And this one seamlessly blends where I couldn't tell you what's CG and what isn't. Like they did such a good job with it.
I also really liked when they got into the tunnels underneath the compound at the end. It reminded me of this obscure film I watched in college. I know that sounds stupid, but I don't even remember what its name was. It was like a Polish war film about these people who were trying to escape the Nazis through the sewer system. and they had directions drawn on the walls trying to help.
You're not talking about the Uwe Boll film Tunnel Rats, are you?
No, this is made in like the.
Because that's exactly what that plot is. And that
No, I'm
movie's
talking
horrible.
about this was a movie made in like the 40s or the 50s.
Okay.
It's black and white. It's actually extremely bleak because everyone dies.
Thanks for ruining it.
Spoilers.
But
We didn't even know the name of the movie, so
But now it's ruined.
But
for
now
me.
I never want to see it.
but it just reminded me of that, the way they like. I liked the chalk markings on the wall of like "this way out of hell," and then the other wall says "the age of apocalypse" or something like that.
Apocalypse Now.
Apocalypse
Which-
now.
Yeah, which the crossover and homage and references to Apocalypse
That's
Now
just
in this
funny to me
movie
because
are
even
all over
even
the
when
list.
people are
Yeah.
dying in
Incredible.
quarantine, they
Yeah.
still like
And amazing.
puns.
Yeah. Yeah, we're
You gotta
dying,
do
but you
something
know
to keep
what? I
yourself-
could use a pun right now.
don't
Apocalypse
we
Now.
all
Does
do
that
that
sound
though?
good? Does that
Don't
sound
we all
good?
do that when you're in your like bleakest, lowest point and you're so depressed? You just make jokes because like for a second you can laugh and then be like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, at least I mean we're all dying, but hey, puns.
Puns will set us free. And yeah, because what I was gonna say is the production design isn't as obvious in this movie as it was in the other ones, but there's still just great moments. Because I mean, that's one thing I'll really appreciate with this director. He kind of like a JJ in a way, where he's taking existing properties and making them new. But JJ always really
He's also good friends with JJ.
he is.
Yeah.
That's kind of fun.
Cloverfield.
I don't know. They're like two like opposites in a way, because JJ makes these like family-friendly, big bombastic films.
Very overstated. Like, I'm here. J.J. Abrams made this film.
And he's so much. It's Matt, right?
Matt Reeves, yeah.
Matt Reeves is so much more understated, where he puts so much work into it being about the movie and not as much about him.
Well, and Matt Reeves, especially if you watch like any like interview with him or like any behind the scenes thing, he is all about collaboration, which says a lot, at least in my opinion. A lot of the great directors out there are the exact same way.
Yeah.
Like the whole like, I will let you do your job because that's what you're here to do, and it will be better if I let you do it. And I'll just tell you
JJ
if I
does
like
that
it or
as
not.
well, right?
For the most part, yeah. He has
As long
a
as it has flares in it.
yeah. But JJ has his crew, so they all kind of look samey, but that's because he keeps using the same people.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's a problem with Abrams at all, and I love it about Matt Reeves. Like,
It's interesting how they're doing similar things, but they just feel so different.
well, Matt Reeves I think gets lost in his work a little bit more than Abrams does. Like Abrams kind of has a brand feel to it, which again I don't think is a problem. It's just you're watching an Abrams movie.
Yeah, you know what you're getting.
JJ's like the new Bruckheimer.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Like, I always knew
A
when I
little
was
more
watching a
overstated than
Bruckheimer
Bruckheimer.
movie.
Yeah,
Like better.
yeah. He's definitely better than Bruckheimer.
I don't know. I really enjoyed the first
Pirates,
Pirates and the first Nicolas
Pirates is good.
Cage.
Magician's Assistant.
No,
Matchstick Men.
no.
National treasure.
Thank you.
Dang it! Why'd you give her the actual one?
I was gonna go for Wicker Man next.
This is gonna be really fun.
Quotes.
Quotes.
Air
Quotes.
I had
Air
my
quotes?
quote the moment it was said. I didn't even think about it. I was like, that one.
Same.
Do you
Am I
wanna
gonna say it?
Go for it.
All right.
Yeah.
So emotional.
Aw.
I love it because who's emotional here, fucker?
You're all emotional. You're all so emotional, but you're blaming Caesar for all of his emotions, even though Caesar's having a lot of emotions right now.
Mine is it's a Bad Ape quote. Because although he is pretty funny the whole way through, there's one moment for me that actually, like a lot of times it's a soft chuckle. There's one that gets me actually laugh out loud, and that's the one I went for. It's when they realize where they're at underground, and they look up and like, oh, they're probably up there. And Maurice is like, well, then climb on my back and go up there. And he realizes what he's asking. Oh no!
Yeah.
No. And Maurice just looks at him and screams, and he just stands there with his mouth agape for a little while and goes, okay.
I also had a Bad Ape quote because as the aforementioned falling off a horse might indicate, I am clumsy. And so when he raced around the corner and tripped and went, all right, like, oh, that was very loud. Sorry. He was like, I'm all right. That resonated with me. I was like, oh, I have literally done that. I have fallen down and known there were people in the other room and gone, I'm okay. Just letting everybody know.
Everything's fine.
So I found that moment highly relatable.
Nice.
He had a lot of stuff, and we only really got to see the one little Nova thing.
Oh.
I want to see Bad Ape's treasure trove, because, he's been collecting things for a while.
Yeah. And he does not want Nova to play with them.
No.
Put that down.
It's not a toy.
No, that's fine.
No, that's not yours. That's mine.
No, we shouldn't go anywhere. Here, you can keep this. See,
Yeah.
she keep it. She keep it. You stay.
She keep it. No, now we're all friends. Okay, I'll stay here. Mine is a Colonel quote right just before So Emotional, but you were impressive. Smart as hell. You were stronger than we are, but you're taking this all so personally.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, that's the statement of the movie.
Yeah.
It's like, ugh.
Yeah. Well. All right. So, review system's been kind of tough for this one because my gut instinct is to do other Planet of the Apes movies, but I don't think everyone on the table has seen all of them, so that would be a real fucked up one to do. So I'm gonna go with trilogy-ending films. It's the last part of any trilogy.
Return of the King.
Oh, okay.
You really wouldn't be able to understand very much that was going on in Lord of the Rings unless you watched the previous films.
Very true.
And it was a very high note with a lot of emotions. And a lot of CG.
Episode 3. So emotional, right?
It really is.
It has the most emotional moment in the whole franchise.
Yeah. So that's it, just for that moment.
Not that.
That was the so emotional moment.
That's so emotional.
That's so emotional. But as a joke,
That was okay.
in a good way.
Because that was
This
put
mo-
in the stupid DVD sings, and I hate them.
Not in the third one. That was totally in theaters.
Yeah.
Episode 3, not episode 6.
Episode
I was
3.
thinking Return of the Jedi the whole time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Matrix Revolutions because
Whoa,
yeah, man. It's
Remember, she didn't love this movie.
Apparently.
it is beautiful. There's some really cool sequences in Matrix Revolutions. They're trying things. There are some cool characters, but it's also completely dependent on having seen the other two movies in order to understand even an inkling of what the fuck is going on in that movie.
Very true.
And a lot of crucifying symbolism.
Indeed.
Well, because both of my picks have now been taken.
This is your rating system. So.
I know, and I was trying to be polite and let people go first, and that fucked me over. So I have to go with a movie that I don't actually like that much, but I think fits the bill. And it's kind of like very similar to what Emily said. Pirates of the Caribbean 3... ... whatever the rest of the title was. At World's End? Is that it?
That wasn't the
think
last
so.
movie though. You said trilogy ending.
But that did end the original trilogy.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
And then they wanted more money. But that definitely didn't end the original arc of the trilogy. And since it was shot at the same time as part 2, if you didn't see part 2, it makes zero fucking sense. And even if you did, it still kind of doesn't. But much like this one, I actually think it does a good job tying up the storylines, and like it ends things very well, unless you want to go waste time watching Jack Sparrow movies.
Hey, the last one we actually laughed a lot at.
The last one just kind of says fuck it.
The middle
and that
one,
was way more entertaining.
Number 4, I don't really remember at all.
Yeah, 4 is a rough watch. As mermaids, that's
Yeah.
about all I remember.
And
Oh, yeah.
Bluebeard or something beard.
Blackbeard.
I
Blackbeard.
haven't seen the last two.
Fifth one's okay. It's not
Yeah.
great.
Fifth one's got some good moments.
It does have some really, really clever written lines, but you do have to suffer through Johnny Depp, which can be tough these days.
Yeah.
But otherwise, yeah, I guess Pirates of the Caribbean 3. I really wanted to go Return of the King, but I just hesitated a second too long. So
Sorry, I just
Good job,
jumped
Chewie.
right in there.
no, I've done that to you. I can't even count how many times. It's only fair that you do it to me this time. I think it's time to talk about next week. Is everybody excited about next week? That movie that's coming up next week?
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Indeed.
That's a great
Can't
movie
wait to
thing.
find out what it is.
Yeah, you and me both.
We looked it up recently, and I totally forgot.
Next week.
Very professional podcast.
Yep.
It's so professional.
Oh, I am excited about next week. It's one of my favorite movies of the year that I'm sure many people are going to disagree with me on it, and I can't wait to argue with everybody. It's a movie called Good Time, and it is not a good time to watch it.
Oh.
It is very, very
That
upsetting.
sounded good when you said the
Oh,
title.
yeah.
I was anticipating something fun, and then you took it away.
Yeah, it's not fun. It's a rough watch, but it's a very, very
And
good
that
movie.
is a terrible title.
It's ironic.
It's ironic.
Oh man, I hate ironic titles.
Wow, I don't remember why I put that on the list, but I'm excited to watch. Oh, now I remember. Okay. So then the week after that, we have the second biannual of one of my favorite episodes that we do around here now with our Secret Santa battle. I don't know who the guest will be yet. I'm guessing it will not be Chris Ortiz. No offense to Chris. We love you, but you've been on every one of them so far, so we need to have somebody else on. But that one, if you've not listened to one before, it's where we all get randomly assigned movies. We do not know who gave them to us, and we have to say why they're good or bad, and then guess who gave them to us. It's a very fun episode. Both of them so far have been great. And then to celebrate New Year's, I had to find a movie that took place on New Year's, and a lot of them are not good.
What about that New Year's Eve movie where it starred like 20 different actors?
Yeah, that's not good. I wanted to watch New Year's Evil. I thought that looked really funny, but apparently there's a shit ton of rape in it, and I didn't really want to watch a rapey New Year's movie. So I ended with Ghostbusters 2.
All right. I can do Ghostbusters 2, man.
Yeah, so for New Year's...
The amount of quotes alone in that movie.
Yeah, so I thought a good New Year's movie, Ghostbusters 2. And
I love that movie.
That'll be a good one.
That's fun.
So that's the rest of this month coming up. So look forward to the last one of the month where everyone will be excited, and then the rest of them will just be a lot of fun.
Can we just spend the entire time just quoting Peter McNichol?
I don't see why not. We might run out of time, out of quotes pretty fast, but
we have
so
to
good.
get to the child.
We can just start quoting for other things when we run out of Ghostbusters 2 quotes, like just moving to Ally McBeal. He was on that for a while. We'll be all right.
Was it a clean bowl?
I thought it was a fresh bowl.
Was it a fresh bowl?
I think it's fresh bowl.
I just remember
I like a
his-
fresh bowl. It's definitely fresh.
I'm just remembering when they accidentally flushed his toad or whatever it was.
Yep. Yeah. It's a weird show. All right. So thank you very much, Ram, for coming back out.
Of course. Bye.
Bye.